So it's been a while since I've done a book haul, and I have some really beautiful books that I would like to share, so this seemed like the best format to do it in. These are books that I've acquired over the good past few months, so let's get on with it. The first one is a book called The Book, and it's all about books. This one I remember seeing when it came out and thinking, that's really cool, and then I kind of forgot about it until somebody in the bookshop mentioned it, saying that it was a book about books, and they thought that it was called Book, which was a bit of a difficult thing to Google, as I'm sure you can imagine. But luckily I had the foresight at the time when I first saw this to bookmark it on Goodreads and say that this is something that I wanted to read. So yes, it's by Keith Houston, and that is the way to find it if you want to find it on Goodreads, or look at the link down below. But this is kind of a history of different ways that books were created. The cover itself is kind of a diagram of all these different parts of a book. So the head, the foredge, which is this bit here, binding tape, things like that. And the same thing goes for the spine. So this is a book designer's ideal book in many ways. The next one is Cover. This is by Peter Mendelsohn, who is a book cover designer, probably one of the biggest book designers in the world at the moment. Just opening it up on there, there's that lovely page with Ulysses, with the yes there. There's lots in here about his process and killed designs and things that never made it to print, and the design of the book itself is wonderful as well. You've got this transparent cover with cover on it. It's beautifully designed on the inside, as you would expect, and this is another one that I'm just really looking forward to really immersing myself in, because I know that there are going to be lots of wonderful things in here. Then we have this one, which I talked about in my Feminism Illustrated video, which I will link on a card. Definitely worth checking it out if you like the look of this one. This is a whole lot of different women from history who would be considered feminists, and they are illustrated. For each feminist there is an art plate. A familiar example would be Virginia Woolf, whose plate at the end looks like this. But if you'd like to see me explore this a bit more and show some different pages, then do check out that video. Then we have this monster, Hamilton, The Revolution. Now, I actually listened to this as an audiobook to start with, which was fascinating, and at the end there's a bit that is read by Lin-Manuel Miranda, the creator of Hamilton, and that's all the notes for the libretto. So there is a full libretto in here, which means it's the full script basically, and down the sides of each page there are notes from Lin, and he reads just those in the audiobook, which was really interesting. But I love having this next to the libretto. It just gives it a bit more context, and I love that it's got all these pictures in here, and it really makes it come alive, especially if you're somebody who loves the musical but you're not able to actually see it on stage. There are all these different sections on the creation of Hamilton the musical as well, and yeah, it's very interesting and a must for any Hamilton fan, I am sure. It's not a cheap book, but it is very well produced. It's got these knobbly bits on the spine. I need to find out what they are called, but yeah, it's got the deckled edges, which is a lovely design feature on this, and yeah, it just feels like a hefty tome, and it just seems very appropriate for the subject. Alright, then we have two novels. One is this one here. This is The Enigma Variations by Andre Ackerman, and I read Call Me By Your Name recently, which was absolutely beautiful. The prose is just above and beyond. I haven't read anything that is that beautifully written in a long while, so I'm hoping that this one will be just as beautifully written, and I'm assuming that the title relates to The Enigma Variations, the Elgar piece of music, so I'm hoping there might be a connection there. I love things like that, little connections to pieces of music in literature. And for connections with literature and literature, we have got If We Were Villains, which I have read. I've talked about in a wrap-up, so I'll link that above. I've also talked about it in another video where I talk about the design of it, and there's a sneaky little surprise underneath the dust jacket. So I'll leave that as a little teaser and let you go and watch that video and discover for yourself what is underneath. It's very similar to The Secret History in many ways, which means that I just adore it because The Secret History is one of my favourite books of all time. But if you like university novels, if you like books that are kind of dark and there's a mystery at its core and groups of friends sort of turning on each other, and there's a lot of drama, as you would expect with drama students, but yeah, if any of that sounds remotely interesting to you, then I highly recommend checking this out. And this is the American version. I read a proof copy and then I just had to buy a physical copy because I know that I will revisit it and revisit it. So yeah, this is the American edition. The UK edition looks quite different, but I cannot rave about this enough. So there we are. Those are the books that I have acquired over the past few months. If you found any of these interesting, or if you'd like to know more, give me a yell. I can answer any questions down in the comments. I'd love to start a conversation about any of these. If you'd like to find me elsewhere online, I am at Holly Dunn Design pretty much everywhere. My Goodreads is linked down below, as is my portfolio website. I'm a book designer, so if you're interested in what I do, my portfolio website is the place to go. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.